Hello everyone, this is Phantom right here, and today I have yet another Sherlock X Reader story. So this is going to be a little bit of a different one. This is going to be a Sherlock X Reader X John story. And I wanted to say this right now before we get into the meat of it, because I wanted to make sure you guys know these details, just so you know. First off, there is very little dialogue actually said in this story. It's all mostly just the narrator discussing what's happening. It's not very much there's not very much dialogue at all. But I still tried to make it as interesting as possible in such without the dialogue. And I also made it so the reader, Sherlock, and John are only friends in this one shot. They're not all three in a romantic relationship together. No, it is just them being good friends together. And the reason I say that is because the reason I made it that way is because I honestly wasn't too sure how to make this about both of them in love with her or him. So I decided, you know what, why don't we go ahead and just leave it like this? So, why don't we go ahead and get started? To begin this fun little adventure, we should talk about the plane ride. John was pleasant company during the flight. He was quiet during the majority of it, but he still made it tolerable. But Sherlock, he was a bit more difficult to deal with. He was practically a child getting up during the whole flight from London to Texas. He was constantly getting up and was asked repeatedly by the flight attendant to take a seat, and he pouted like a child when he did. While it was annoying to John, you actually found it pretty funny. Anyway, when you three finally got off the plane and went to pick up your luggage, John and Sherlock were bickering about where to go first. Sherlock wanted to head to the hotel so he can let out some stress with his violin, while John had wanted to take a tour around the town and maybe learn a little more, learn about the history of San Antonio, Texas. You may have moved to London and lived there with both Sherlock and John for around 3 years? Coming close to 4, actually. Wow. But that's not the point. The point is that you were not raised in London. Far from it. You were born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. During all of the Christmases you've had in your life, though, you've never experienced snow. While London did have the occasional sprinkle of snow and rain, it just wasn't the same. You wanted to run around your hometown park in the snow. But alas, it was only a dream. And now for a time skip. You, Sherlock, and John were all unpacking in the hotel room before you all made a plan to go out so you can show them around the town. You and John had finished unpacking, and John checked the weather on the TV. It was 20 degrees Celsius or 82 degrees Fahrenheit. John nearly spit out his tea as he saw that. What's wrong? You and Sherlock said in unison. It's 27 degrees outside. It's practically an oven out there. John, this is Texas. It's hot. Besides, it's not that hot. Try going to Phoenix, Arizona during the summer. It's like 112 degrees Fahrenheit. You laughed and John looked at you like you were crazy. Hey, how about I take you all to my favorite restaurant downtown? They're real old-fashioned, and I think you guys will love it. John and Sherlock looked at each other and Sherlock sighed. He grabbed his things and you three set off to this restaurant. And now for another time skip. You guys stepped into the small and quaint restaurant, and you guys took a seat. You took a note of how Sherlock and John were admiring the place and eyeing the vintage furnishings. You smiled then you three ordered. Anyway, sorry. I got distracted. Finally, you showed them around. Sorry. After you three were done with your food, you guys decided to take a tour around the city. You showed them around many of the historic places and even the place where your grandparents got married. Finally, you guys went to the hotel and were winding down. Suddenly, though, Sherlock piped in a random comment. Your name, does San Antonio get any snow per year? God, no. In all the years I've been here, not once have I seen a speck of snow. He said without turning around. John chuckled. What? I think Sherlock is asking that because it's snowing right now. You nearly choked on your hot cocoa, and when you finally choked it down, you ran over to the window to see it for yourself. And guess what? John and Sherlock were right. It was snowing, and pretty nicely at that. It wasn't a small amount, but not too much rough snow. You grabbed your coat and yelled out to the men, "Come on, we're going to the park near here." John and Sherlock exchanged confused glances, but simply put on their coats and followed you out. Once you got to the park, you immediately ran into the main part and smiled widely at all the snow that had already piled up. Around 1.5 feet had grown, and you knew this was officially the best day ever. Sherlock and John caught up and were panting loudly. As they were catching their breath, he rolled up a snowball and threw it at Sherlock. "Hey!" he yelled out. John and you laughed. And then you threw one at John. And then a massive snowball fight commenced. You guys went on to throw snowballs at each other and even made some snow angels. It was hands down the most fun you had had with both John and Sherlock. By the end, you three were laying down on the snowy cold ground, laughing loudly. "I love you guys," you said as you catched your breath. "Best day ever." The end. I had so much fun making this, and the main inspiration for this story is because where I live, it never snows. Never snows. It's the only time I've ever in my life seen it snow was last year in my town. And oh my god, you guys did not understand how excited I was. Me and my two brothers actually got into a snowball fight together. And I had so much fun, and I remember recollecting on these thoughts late one night and thought to myself, hey, that would make a good story idea. And not to worry, I do plan on making a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles story where it's going to be all four of the turtles, X the Reader, and they're going to be celebrating Christmas together. And I am very excited to be able to get back into making some more Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stories. And anyway, guys, this is Phantom Raider, and I'll be seeing you all very soon. Bye-bye!